Hey y'all, and welcome to PolitiBrawl. My name is Brian, and Tom Homan takes no prisoners in this interview. And what is really going on here is absolutely wild, and the mainstream media can't hide it anymore. Let's dive in.
I mean, no one weaponized the Justice Department and the federal government more than the Biden administration did. So I find it shocking that the Democratic Party are going to talk about us, weaponize the Justice Department. It's just ridiculous.
Well, is that what you're saying? They did it so you can do it?
That's not what I'm saying at all. But to make the allegation that we're weaponizing the Justice Department, they crossed the line. That congressman crossed the line. She put hands on an ICE officer.
Okay, so we'll move to her.
Well, I want to. Day one, you can.
We'll move to the congressman, but just to finish the point here, when you look at the investigations, it's a lot of critics of Donald Trump and Democrats. Can you think of or name any public official or individual who's in these crosshairs other than those folks? I've got some up on the screen. It goes from Cuomo to Comey to Springsteen at this point.
Those who break the law should be prosecuted. And I don't know if any of these people have been prosecuted. That list I'm looking at the screen now, if any of them people have been prosecuted other than the Congresswoman and other than two judges that impeded ICE and tried to harbor and conceal an illegal alien and impede their enforcement efforts. So, no, that list shows I can't see everybody on that list, but are you telling me everybody on the list has been indicted?
No, it says investigations.
They'll be indicted or arrested if they violate the law.
No, it's investigations, but the fact that so many in these first 110 days, some of them which are announced on social media or other avenues before the defendants or even read their rights and given information, raises the question that it looks like to some that this is political targeting. The ACLU says it's autocratic targeting. And you respond tonight by saying, well, they did it. The Democrats did it. Well, if they did it, that's your view? Does that make it okay? That's what I'm asking.
Wait a minute. I said I find it shocking that they would accuse the Trump administration of weaponizing against their opponents when they did the exact thing during the Biden administration. I'm not making any comparison. I'm just saying I find it shocking for them to make that claim when they did it for 4 years. I'm not making any claim we're weaponizing anything. I don't think President Trump's weaponizing anything against his political opponents. We're enforcing the law. We're investigating crimes. If there's evidence that a crime has been acted upon, then they need to be charged. No one's. In the last 4 years, we heard no one's above the law. We're either our members of Congress, either our judges, and either our other people. You've crossed the line. You violate the law. You should be indicted. You should be charged.
So I know you brought up Congresswoman Mclver. I said I'd give you time on that. The reports here are that part of the narrative about her has been, quote, contradicted by the video footage and witnesses who were at the scene. It was a scuffle. That's on video. She says it's intimidation. I know you have said that she was, quote, unprofessional. And people in public life can agree or disagree on who in whichever branch of government are professional. But does it concern you that someone who in a co-equal branch is supposed to oversee ICE, I'm sure you don't deny her elected authority to do that along with every other member of Congress in both parties, does it concern you that now it looks like, according to her lawyers, that the law enforcement agencies are trying to intimidate her out of that enforcement? And do you really think the video suggests that she was physically assaulting and battering armed agents? Because it looks more like a kind of out-of-control scuffle.
She claims she was there on oversight. We open facilities of oversight every day across this country. There are, all you have to do is show up to the facility in a professional manner and request a visit. Go through screening and go see it. We are proud of that facility. I want everybody to go look at it. Maybe all the false narrative will stop about how ICE's detention standards are just so terrible. But she put hands, she shoved an officer, she put hands on her officer. That's unacceptable. These ICE officers, and when you cause a ruckus like that, then that makes that facility unsecure, because officers who should be dealing with the prisoners, very serious prisoners, criminals in that facility, they're dealing with the ruckus outside. It makes the facility unsafe. It's unsafe for the officers, and it's unsafe for the general public.
Y'all, the Democrat Party has been flirting with disaster for a long, long time. They are basically been playing a game of chicken. All right, the game that they're playing is an attempt to make one side blink. Well, folks, this game can only go on for so long. The whole strategy, and this is my Glenn Beck side coming out, has been to provoke the right wing, to provoke conservatives, to provoke the GOP to actually enforce the laws, to actually do what our justice system says needs to be done. They have been poking the bear to get us to deport illegal migrants, particularly violent ones, and they said they finger wag and say that's a bad thing, and then when the Democrats then protest it, they go outside of their bounds, and in one case, Representative Mclver actually put hands on an ICE agent. It's on video. We have it on camera. You cannot deny this, and she is likely going to be charged. She might be kicked out of Congress, but for some reason, that's going to make her a hero to the left. So that's the real game of chicken that's been going on. The Democrats are begging conservatives to actually lock them up. Well, the good news is we have a more free media today, thanks to guys like Elon Musk for buying Twitter and basically reestablishing some normalcy out there. And we finally have a media that does have the guts to go after this sort of stuff, with some major exceptions, like, for instance, MSNBC. Okay, they are continuing to pander to the very people who are playing this ugly game of chicken, and eventually that house of cards is going to come down. You cannot put hands on a federal agent. That is the standard that was set up after a cold day in January back in 2021. And folks, that standard is now here. We're trying to deal with these problems as best as we can. And now the Democrats have realized they might have gone a step too far. But I think they went a step too far long before this. I think they went a step too far almost 20 years ago. Under the, not Biden, he was vice president, but under the Obama administration, the floodgates got opened, and conservatives were quite literally targeted by the IRS. This should have been one of the biggest scandals in American history, but it got swept under the rug because of talking heads like this and media outlets like MSNBC. And they're trying to sit here and say that they're holding Tom Homan's feet to the fire? Oh, give me a break. There's a reason I wear this shirt. There's a reason that I believe in defunding the media. It's not just because I've grown so jaded and tired of places like NPR and PBS. It's because the double standard can no longer be a standard. We can't have a democracy. We cannot have a republic when an entire side of the political spectrum is out there in open defiance of the law. That's no longer a country anymore. That's a banana republic. And this is America, folks. We rose up in 1776. We had revolution. We had a literal revolution, although, let's be honest here, it wasn't literal, but it was a revolt. It was an independence movement. And we won it from tyranny and even in those days, the media was often kind of difficult to deal with. Unironically, the Americans that rebelled, it was 33, 33, 33. 33% really wanted independence, 33% wanted to stay British, the other 33% did not care. And that's sort of the number breakdown of people who can vote here in the United States. It's amazing how history continues to repeat itself. But there wasn't a game of chicken going on. That was a full-blown conflict, and that war got ugly. And then the War of 1812, we almost had that exact same fight 40 years later. That war got ugly. Then we had a war between the states, a civil war that we now call it. That got even worse. We've had armed conflicts, and as a student of military history, it terrifies me. The amount of lawlessness that is coming from the Democrat Party. We've seen it once before, and it did not end well for the southern states. And as a Georgia boy, I've got a very interesting historical connection to that. I have members of my family who have fought on both sides of the conflict. We're starting to see the first fruits of this, and if the Democrats do not de-escalate themselves, do not say, hey, we've kind of messed up, we need to start telling our own people, you need to stand down, we can't afford this nonsense anymore. We just saw an assassination of two Israeli officials in Washington, D.C., and it was sparked by rhetoric and by the mainstream media, who still thinks that Luigi Mangione is a good dude. And Tom Homan is trying his best to deal with that potential problem, but it's here now. And we've got to figure out how to deal with this as a country, or else it's going to get very, very weird very, very quickly, and that never ends well. So Tom Homan is correct for calling out the mainstream media here, but there's an even bigger problem brewing. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoy that segment here on PolitiBrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Till then, y'all have a good one.